All right, I'm jumping right into it. Welcome back to Austin Marathon Prep as a part of my bigger and greater goal of a sub 3 hour marathon and ultimately qualify for the Boston Marathon. So I'm gonna go over like last week. Good week, 43, 44-ish miles on the week, which was pretty solid. Kind of the layout of the week was started off with some hill repeats. Austin is kind of known as a hilly course and it's in the hill country of Texas, so makes sense. Found the one single hill here in like the DFW area and sprinted up it for about 15 times for 1 minute steady effort for 1 minute up the hill, and then jog back down 15 times. That was a pretty difficult workout. Increasing anaerobic capacity, just a different component of training, very different, essentially on the opposite end of the spectrum of like zone 2 or easy runs, easy training. So not really many hills up here in DFW, but managed to find a small one. So that's kind of what kicked off the week, was kind of not necessarily a kick in the face at the beginning of the week, but it was definitely not easy into it, but that's fine. And then a lot of aerobic miles this week, same as last week. That's going to be very consistent over the course of this next probably 6 weeks or so, and then maybe turn the intensity up in the final 6 week prep before Austin. Did have a few solid wins, especially over last week where I was still feeling pretty sick. So a few solid wins this week. Yeah, had a tempo run, like kind of a progressive tempo run where we're kind of chipping away at faster miles as I went, kind of running negative splits. So that was really good. And I was able to hold some pretty solid splits for longer and faster than I thought. I was kind of a little intimidated going into it, which is part of it. Here towards the end of the week, which was a 14-mile long run with surges. I actually dropped the splits for all of the miles in my Instagram, so you can go check that out. But anyhow, like 6.5 miles of that 14 miles were all at race pace. Right now, race pace is sitting at about like 650, 655. I know that's not gonna get me to breaking that 3 hour mark, or it's gonna be just shy or just under, just over. Realistically, I think to qualify for Boston, I probably need to run 254, which I think is closer to a 240, or excuse me, a 640 or 645 pace. So that'll be the target as we get a little bit closer. But as of this week, we were targeting around a 650 to 655 pace, which I was able to, even within the throes of that 14-mile run, I was still able to hit those targets. So pretty stoked on that. Pretty happy about, that was a win. Losses or kind of setbacks for the week. I would have liked to spend a little bit more time in the gym working on like overall strength, and then like sport specific strength. So, runner specific strength. My gym sessions got cut short. I still got 4 days in the gym this week, but they all got kind of condensed. But that's a part of it, especially as like a new father and then operating, training business, which kind of brings me to my next topic. I recently started doing some of Judd Leinhart's strength training. I'll link him in the description because I think he's a really incredible coach. He has plans available for just about everybody. I'm programming my runs, or making sure that my running training is exactly where it needs to be in order to reach these big running goals that I have this year. This coming up here, 2026. It's very nice to be able to offload my strength training to someone that I trust. In this instance, Judd is someone that I trust. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with my strength training. Other than those kind of key workouts, Tuesday, hill repeats, which is first day of the week. Thursday was the progressive tempo run or negative splits. And then Saturday being the long run with those kind of surges in there. Everything else was just easy aerobic miles, just kind of cruising. They made up the bulk of this week's mileage, and just keeping it in zone 2 and keeping it casual, keep it conversational. Even as a coach and as someone who's been doing this a long time, I can get ahead of myself, especially with my zone 2 runs. I look down at my watch and my heart rate's, jumped up and I'm like cruising and I'm like, oh wow, I feel good. But it's important, even myself as a coach, to pull the reins back a little bit in order to ensure that I'm getting that zone 2 work. So don't ever be discouraged if that's something that you struggle with, because it doesn't matter what level you're at. We all kind of struggle with it, especially when you're feeling good and you kind of want to just like let it out, like let the floodgates open, as they say. Do want to dive a little bit into zone 2 specifically because, I just hit on it quite a bit, and just talk about some other methods that you can use if you're not quite up to the point where you can just go run 20, 40, 60 minutes or more without really having to worry about your heart rate. You can kind of just cruise. If you're not there yet, there are other methods that can be beneficial for you. One of my favorites is kind of like these walk-run intervals. First, you're going to identify what your target heart rate is, right? So real simple, basic, easy way to do this: 180 minus your age. So I'm 30, 180 minus 30 at 150. So that's going to be my max aerobic ceiling, or my aerobic ceiling essentially for zone 2. So that's going to be my top number. Subtract 10 from that gives me 140. That's my zone. That's a really great way. It's not perfect, but it's a really great way to kind of get started. So that's my zone 2 range that I'm going to like kind of like a speedometer, if you will, or an odometer, maybe a better way of putting that. But actually tachometer is what I was thinking of. Odometer, I think, shows you the total mileage. Tachometer. Okay. So anyway, going back, what you'll do is you'll start running, right? Conversational pace, nasal breathing maybe, and I'm talking about an actual conversational pace. Not like I think I can talk when I run. You can actually talk to somebody if they were running next to you. Maybe even be helpful to have someone there that you could talk with. So that pace, check your pace, whatever it is. Maybe it's a 10-minute mile, maybe it's a 9-minute mile, doesn't matter. Just note it, keep it in your brain, and then monitor your heart rate from that point on. So every now and then, take a look at your watch. Eventually, it's going to spike. So it might be hovering in between that 140 to 150 range if you're 30 like me, and that's the number you got. And then all of a sudden you'll look down and you're like 157 or 160, somewhere around there, right? I think you can even set alerts on your watch to notify you. Then you're going to walk. You're just going to stop, you're going to walk, just a regular pace walk, and you're going to monitor your heart rate. Your heart rate's eventually going to drop down to that bottom of zone 2. So in this example, 140 beats per minute. And then you're going to start running again. But what you're going to do is you're not going to run slower, right? Because we don't want to teach ourselves to run slow. You're going to start running at the pace that you noted previously. So whatever that was, 10 or 11 minutes, doesn't matter. You start running at that pace again. So, and then you're going to, once you kind of get started again, you'll check your heart rate. It'll be bouncing in between that 140 to 150 range, but inevitably it will jump up again. And it probably will jump up faster than it did the time before. Now I can go into the science behind this, but we don't have time for that, so I'm not going to. I can do that in a different video. So if you want that video, let me know in the comments, because that will give me an idea if y'all want to see that. But you're going to start running, and you keep on repeating that process over and over again until you've had at least 20 minutes of running. So don't count the walking towards your overall, time of running or whatever. Like just count the running portions. Once you've had 20 minutes of that, then you will essentially just spend your entire run and walk really in that zone 2 range. So you're still building aerobic capacity. You're just kind of doing it in this interval way, what your body can handle. Keeping your body firing type 1 muscle fibers. That, again, that'll be more into that other video of what if we decide that's a good idea to do. So that is a really, really great way to build aerobic capacity, or build like endurance, build your ability to do zone 2. And that, eventually at the beginning you might be walking a lot, right? But eventually those gaps will spread out. So you'll be able to run more consistently for longer at that given pace, right? So 20, 40, 60 minutes. Once you get up to 60 minutes and being able to run that pace, maybe crank up the heat a little bit. Maybe if you're running at a 10-minute mile before, and now you can do it for 60 minutes without, being bothered, then maybe try 9:30 and then repeat the process over and over again. Eventually, you won't have to do that anymore, and you'll just be able to continue to develop your aerobic system just through zone 2 steady state constant runs. But that's a really great way to get started. Yeah, been a good week. We're on our way. Week 2 is knocked out. 10 more weeks to go until Austin Marathon. Also, if you're doing Austin Marathon, drop a comment below because I'd love to connect. Maybe we can do a like a shakeout run, before the race. All right, guys. Cheers. I'll see you in the next one.